So we should be sharing.
And then just change.
Thank you. This one. You ready? All right. Good. All right. Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? Just as a reminder, it's been a long time since we've seen one another in person. So just as a reminder, I'm Keith Brink, Director of the Upward Bound Programs, and it's great to see everybody here this morning. I know it's hard to recognize everybody with still wearing these masks, but hopefully won't be too much longer. And of course, all of you look so much older. The only person I think that hasn't aged is Lacey. Lacey, never ages, right? But you all are actually going to be seniors. We're going to start calling you seniors because this is your senior summer. And of course, next year will be your senior year. So I know one of the things that we want to accomplish is talk about the Summer Academy. So welcome back to Summer Academy. You're going to be the one group that's had some experience of actually being on campus with us in the summer. So we are going to talk about how that's going to run this summer, but we're also going to do a little preview to senior year because that's such a big thing. And it's actually something we concentrate a lot on in the summer. We do a lot of senior seminar, getting you all ready because it's now becoming much more individualized because we want to make sure that all of you get kind of the personal attention that you need as you're preparing for your entry into college, which will come very, very quickly next year. So again, I'm Keith Brink. The wonderful Lacey Gebhardt, our Assistant Director, will be talking here in just a moment. We also have, some of you already know her, but Vicki Hodges has joined our team. You might remember that Edison Williams was our academic coordinator, but we're very fortunate to have Vicki Hodges join our team, our central staff as our new academic coordinator. She joined us back in March, somewhere in there, right in the spring. And so she'll be with us. But many of you had her actually as an English instructor your first summer. So she's been with us for a number of years, and we're so excited to have her as part of our central staff. Also with us is Doris Guevara. Where's Doris? Doris, is she out? There's Doris. So Doris, our Upward Bound 2 advisor. And Doris, you don't age either. I just want to make sure I didn't. Or Melinda Heger, our Upward Bound Math Science advisor. And then let's show you where Angel is here. Is that the next slide? So Angel wanted to say she wishes she was here, but she's in a much warmer place, if you can see, but she is actually in Florida. So she wanted to send her hellos today too. So of course, Angel is our Upward Bound 1 advisor. And of course, we have a whole host of folks that you will be meeting again this summer, our instructors and our residential staff, and Lacey will talk a little bit about them. Hopefully everybody got a chance to sign in. And what we're going to accomplish today, like I said, is talk a little bit about the Summer Academy. So we always bombard you a little bit with paperwork. So hopefully you may have looked in your folders, but I kind of want to go through that. But before we do that, just say a little bit about Summer Academy. Normally, when we do Upward Bound Summer, like we did your first summer, we have a 5-week residential program, and then we go on a nice trip for about 3 days, and that's kind of our 6-week summer residential program. This summer, because we're making that transition to kind of this change from having to be doing everything virtual to being able to gradually get back to doing some things in person, we're kind of in this, what we're going to call the hybrid COVID Summer Academy. And the way that we're doing it, we've sent out some of this information, but what we're going to be doing is smaller on-campus groups for 2 weeks by cohort groups. So our first group that will actually be on campus will be our youngest students, our new sophomores, rising sophomores. Then our juniors will be on campus for 2 weeks. And then finally, seniors, you all will be here on campus. Last but not least, we just like to wrap up with the seniors, get you all ready going into your senior year. So you all will actually move into the residence hall on July 18th and be with us from July 18th through July 31st. So that's the time you're going to be on campus. We'll be in a different residence hall this summer. We're actually going to be in Futrall Hall, which we're very excited about. You all will really like Futrall. We'll be, of course, the only group in there. And again, because we're in smaller groups, it's going to allow us to actually even have each student can have their own room in Futrall Hall. And of course, we'll be able to abide by all the restrictions that are currently in place right now with space and the number of students we can have. But your move-in will actually be 4 to 5 p.m. on Sunday, July 18th, so circle that, and you'll be able to move in. And unlike a normal summer academy, we won't be checking out on Fridays. That Friday that you'll actually be staying over. So you're going to stay over the weekend, and we've got some things planned for you. Lacey's going to unveil some of that information. She'll unveil some of that information. So if you want to get an idea of the full 2 weeks, there's a nice little handout, and it's kind of this monochrome blue here, has different colors of blue on it. And on one side is week 1 that you're on campus, which is your 5th week of the summer academy. And then as we see you'll move in on Sunday the 18th. We will start our classes. And so just to say a few things about that as well, when you're here on campus, obviously we'll do in-person classes, but prior to that time, you'll actually start some virtual classes, your weeks 1 through 4, which will start June 21st. We know that everybody's tired of virtual learning. We know you're tired of doing that sort of thing. However, it does allow us to get the full 6 weeks of our summer academy in. And we've actually made it so that all you're going to be doing during that time is you're going to spend 2 weeks either in your English or your math, and then the next 2 weeks in either your English or your math. So it's not a huge time commitment from you from virtually, but it is important because we want to prepare you before you actually get here. Plus, a little nice perk is that if you participate in the virtual part of the program, you're able to gain and get the participation stipend, which we know you all would very much like. So, and because of the way we're structuring the virtual program, we're able to pay you that meal per diem like we did last year. So if you fully participate in the virtual and the summer academy when you're on campus, it'll work out to about $100 per week that you're doing for stipend and the meal per diem that we're able to pay you when you're not here. So that's a pretty good deal, right? So you'll actually get all of that, but we want you to fully participate in the virtual as well. That'll get you kind of that preview coming into summer. And then when you get here, your classes, you'll have your STEM or your research class. And I know the Bates have talked a little bit about that during the Saturday academies, the virtual Saturday academies. So they'll unveil all that, but we'll get really intensive with that. You'll finish off your math and your English when you're here. And then Lacey and advisors and the central staff will work with you a lot during those 2 weeks you're on campus in your senior seminar. So Lacey may say a few more things about that here in a moment. And then of course you can see all the different activities. We're still going to have our mentor groups. We're still going to have our activities that we do. We're just going to be smaller group, but I think that's going to make it actually a lot more fun, and we'll feel a lot more engaged. So we're looking forward to this opportunity to kind of work with each group as a cohort group. So that is, so again, just kind of hang on to your move-in card, circle it, know when you're moving in. We'll of course be reminding you of all that information, but on the back is where Futrall Hall is. We're actually not going to get to see it today, but if you ever want to drive by, kind of take a look and see where that's going to be located. And you can always go on the University of Arkansas website, the Futrall Hall, to see what the rooms and the actual hall looks like if you need to do that. Also, some information about Summer Academy is what I'm going to now turn over to Lacey. She's going to talk about some specifics about Summer Academy.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see so many of you in person. My heart is so happy. This is going to be an amazing summer. Like Keith said, having a smaller cohort group, one at a time. We're just going to get so much quality time together, and we'll talk some more about how individual your senior year is going to be. And I'm just so excited to work with each of you and help you make some of your senior year plans, which schools you're going to apply to, which scholarships you're going to apply to, all that. We'll be doing a lot of that this summer. So this is kind of Futrall Hall, that blue schedule. But kind of thinking about handbook information, I'm not going to spend much time on this because y'all have already been through it, you know. We are guests on the University of Arkansas campus. As far as Upward Bound is part of the University of Arkansas, we're hosted by the University of Arkansas, but all the classrooms and all the different spaces we're in, the dining hall, we're guests in those spaces. And I don't mean to brag, but Upward Bound has a really good reputation. Like, there are things that we get to do in spaces that we get to use that other groups don't, because we are so respectful of the spaces and we take good care of it. And so like, people hear Upward Bound and they're like, oh no, we'll work with them because, you know, we'll work with them. So we have a really good reputation on campus. So I know you guys will help us keep that good reputation and represent well, never leave trash, always leave spaces nice. I'm not going to harp too much on the handbook because that's located in your packet. But there are kind of a few big rules that Upward Bound has that, because of the nature of our program, we just, there are a few things that we take very, very seriously, and we just can't function as a program if students participate in any of these activities. And so these are, I don't like to say no tolerance, but they are kind of our rules that if you don't follow these rules, you can't really be part of our program. And so one of those is any sort of bullying or harassment. We have students from every single different kind of background, different schools, all that kind of stuff. And of course, we're always kind and respectful to each other. But we will not tolerate any sort of bullying and harassment, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes. Can't have any of that on campus. And we just can't really function as a program if that's anything that we have to worry about, because we place so much trust in you and we know that you're trustworthy. So I know that that won't be a problem either. Also in our residence halls, we are divided by gender. And so respecting that and never going on the floor in the area of someone of the opposite gender. So there are other details in the handbook, some nitty gritty kind of stuff, but those are kind of the three big ones that I always want to bring up and make sure that y'all know that that's kind of a core of Upward Bound and us being able to do what we do. Attendance, we're only together kind of for 2 weeks this summer, so being present as absolutely much as you can. There is an absence request form in your packet, and we have some extras kind of at our check-in table if you need those. Like I said, this summer is going to be so critical as far as some of the stuff that we're doing in our senior seminar. My goal is when you leave senior seminar, you're going to have the calendar for your senior year with all of your due dates and your game plan for when you're going to accomplish everything. So really being able to participate in that and engage in that, be respectful in the dining hall. Keith's kind of already talked about stipends. So what to bring, not going to spend a lot of time on this because y'all already know. These are things that you'll need: some way to get up, something to put on the bed. It's a twin size bed, a sleeping bag, or some sheets. All your toiletries, deodorant. It is muggy, hot outside during the end of July. So there are, of course, laundry facilities available on campus, and I don't think they require quarters anymore. So if you ever want to do laundry, just bring some detergent. We have the Upward Bound curse that the first day of classes, it's always raining. So you never know when those summer showers are going to come through. So some kind of umbrella or raincoat. These are some things you can bring if you want to, but we would kind of encourage. We're going to be spending some time at the pool. We're going to have some pool time, so bring in a swimsuit, some flip-flops for the shower so you don't catch anybody's foot funk. And of course, all of this is also located in your summer handbook, so I'm not going to go over everything. You're welcome to bring a small microwave and refrigerator. Obviously, Upward Bound will provide you all of your meals. There is a refrigerator and a microwave available in the residence hall for the communal use in the kitchen. But if you're like, you know what, I really need my 5:30 a.m. popcorn, if that's something you're into. We have calculators and laptops, but you're welcome to bring your own. And then things to leave home, like video game consoles and televisions, just because we know that people are playing video games on their computers and their phones and stuff. We're just hoping that if you play video games, you'll try to do it in a way that's very communal and where you're playing with other people at Upward Bound. Cooking appliances, including hot plates, any sort of incense or candles, those are just fire hazards. And then, things with wheels, just those are campus policies. So yeah, we have some paperwork, and then we're going to get specifically into senior year stuff. So the last page of that summer handbook, you can rip that out. That's a commitment agreement. You can look over that to see that you're committing your time and your energy and your attention and your good behavior to us. And in return, we commit to being good stewards of your time and your energy and doing everything we can to make that worth your while. There's also emergency contact medical information. If you could fill that out for us. Obviously, there might be some items on there that you may not be able to fill out right now, some paperwork that might be at home. We do have prepaid, postage paid envelopes at the check-in desk. So if you need to grab one of those for any of your paperwork, that's totally fine. There's a lime green summer information card. We have enough space in Futrall Hall. That's one of the reasons that we split it up the way we did, so that everyone could have a single room to follow COVID, social distancing, and everything like that. So if you would like to have a single room, that's totally awesome, and we support that. But if you're like, you know what, my room might be haunted, and I'm gonna need Vicky to live in my room with me and be my roommate, you can check that you would prefer to have a roommate. But our current assumption is that the majority of you will have single rooms, have your space, all that kind of stuff. Talked about absence requests whenever I talked about attendance. So if you will be checking out, like I said, I know we will be staying over the weekend. And so if parents, our Sunday schedule is pretty chill. Like we're gonna kind of have a morning of personal recreation time, and then in the afternoon, we're gonna be going to a movie. So if anybody is planning to check out for church or something like that, just go ahead and fill out one of those absence request forms so that we can be aware that you're planning to do that, and that's totally fine. Or if there's any other reason you need to be absent, get your orthodonture tightened, I don't know. And then these were not in your packet, but they were available at the front desk sign-in. So if any of y'all are planning to drive a vehicle to campus this summer, there's kind of some instructions for that. I will say Upper Bound cannot pay any of your parking tickets. We are not allowed to use our grant funds for that. And the University of Arkansas, they get their money. So if you're planning to park, make sure that you follow all the guidelines and you have your parking before campus. And like I said, if there's anything you can't complete today as far as this paperwork, there will be those prepaid envelopes available as you walk out the door. So is there anything on this before we kind of get into the senior year stuff, KB?
I didn't know if you would say, I guess, any more about
Activities?
Activities or anything
Oh, okay.
It's up to you.
I do get to make the fun announcement. So y'all remember our end of summer trips, right? Remember? Oh, 3 days, 2 nights, going somewhere out of state, just a hoot and a half. Unfortunately, we could not get approved to take a trip like that for this summer. But we were very aggressive to be able to do some traveling this summer so that we could have some fun activities. So that Saturday, where you're on campus with us, we're actually planning to go to Branson, go to Silver Dollar City, hang out on the Branson Belle. I've never been on that boat, but it's like there's a show, there's food. I'm so excited. I can't wait to take a lot of selfies with all of you. So we are going to get to like get off campus and have a fun day to just celebrate y'all and yeah, and do some activities. We will also have some other activities throughout the 2 weeks that you're here. As far as we're going to be going to Fast Lanes, we're going to be going to Top Golf. So yeah, and we have a few other things up our sleeve. Like I said, we're hopefully going to be going to the movies on that Sunday that y'all are on campus. So we can't do everything that we do in our typical normal summer, like prom or award ceremony. There are definitely some restrictions on how many people we can have gathered at the same time. But I appreciate Keith for supporting me and as we aggressively push the boundaries of what we are allowed to do. Some of the policies have been a little, I don't know if we can do this or if we can't. And we're like, no, we're going to try. We want to be able to do stuff with our students. So that's a little preview to the summer. Some of the fun activities, obviously with Upper Bound, we're always having a good time. So maybe some Uno tournaments, that kind of stuff, more low-key stuff. But we are going to be able to get off campus and do some things for sure. So kind of transition from summer stuff. Since y'all had been with us before, I wanted to blow through that as quickly as I could to make sure everybody feels good about that. I guess, are there any questions about summer before I get into senior year stuff? Anything about our schedule or any of that kind of stuff? Well, there'll be plenty of time if you think of something throughout. But yeah, kind of thinking about senior year and what we're going to be expecting from y'all. Communication is the most important thing. So if you're texting your advisor, calling your advisor, talking to us, attending activities, We can't help you if you fall off the map. That's what we call it. And we have a senior or two every year, and we say they fell off the map. And that means that senior was too busy planning prom and working and all this other stuff. And then we get to April and they're like, oh, I haven't applied for colleges yet. I've been so concentrated on my senior year that I haven't been thinking about the year after. So it is so important for you to remain in communication with us. Like I said, everything becomes super individual. We want to know what you as an individual are applying for, what your goals are, and how we can help and support you, whether that's practicing for an interview or proofreading an essay or helping you research different scholarships you can apply for. We want to be able to help you. Using a professional email account, I think we don't really have as much of a problem with this as we did a few years ago. Nobody has the email address FoxyLady2002, anything like that. So just using your school email or something with just your name. I did put in your packet, or I did, Carson put in your packet, our amazing office assistant, your senior checklist. And so we'll also go over this more in depth this summer. We used to call it a bridge checklist, and this was the way that you would be eligible for the bridge program. So who can tell me what the bridge program is? Ashton, what's the bridge program? I called you out, was that mean? Yeah. So it is your 4th Upward Bound summer. This is what we're going to be helping you work towards, is being able to participate in our bridge program, which is where Upward Bound is basically going to give you a $5,000 scholarship at the end of your Upward Bound experience for participating in the program. We're going to pay for you to take up to 6 hours the summer after you graduate from high school. We're going to pay for your housing, your food, your books, your supplies, your tuition, your fees, everything. And we want to make sure that you do everything you need to do to be eligible for that. But even if you're like, I know I'm not going to participate in bridge, I'm about to go to Cancun for 2 months and get a tan before I start college, or whatever else you would be doing that summer, I don't know. Then the checklist is still stuff that we want you to do. Even if your plan doesn't match with going to bridge, these are all things that you need to do. Like apply to at least 4 different colleges or universities. So we want you to leave your options open. Give yourself lots of options. Apply to at least 4 schools. There are also attendance requirements on there to be eligible for bridge. We need you to show up for Saturday academies and school visits and connect with us, because that's the way that we can help you and support you. To be eligible for the bridge program, you're taking actual University of Arkansas classes, so you have to be able to get into the University of Arkansas to participate in bridge. And we expect you to ask us lots of questions. This is a weird process, and it's a lot of paperwork, and it's a lot of different rules for different institutions. And if you're not asking questions, you might be slipping through the cracks. So advocate for yourself and ask a whole lot of questions. Keith, do you want to talk about some of the things we're going to need from our parents, or your students are going to need from you?
Oh, talk about this for senior year. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so, one of the things is it's really important too, we want to work with each and every student. That's why Lacey was saying how important those Saturday academies will be, because you will find, you're probably already finding out that now it seems like high school is going much faster than it did when you were a 9th grader. And now that you're getting to be a senior, it'll even go much faster. So that senior year will go by very, very quickly. But that's why, making sure that you take the time to come to those Saturday academies, because we kind of have you held hostage a little bit there. I hate to say it that way, but it's kind of like you can't be distracted. We can get you focused on some of the things that you really need to do. And that's really important work time for you. And that's kind of the way we structure for our seniors during Saturday Academy, because time just goes so fast. You have other things that you're dealing with. You're still doing school. You're still doing all your other activities. And so doing that college planning, and we also want to make sure that parents, you understand that we want you to be as involved as possible in your child's college planning as well. There will be some things that we'll make sure that you're on track to do. I think that's the most important thing, is just being on track, keeping up with everything that you have to do. So we'll talk about how to stay organized, things like, and all the kind of the lingo that goes along with all this college planning. Like you see something there called create a FSAID. What does that mean? What's the FAFSA? Those are the things that you have to do, for example, to apply for federal aid or to qualify to actually get the lottery scholarship, which is called the Academic Challenge Scholarship. So all of those things become very, very important. But those are the things that we will go over with you as students. Parents will answer any questions that you have. And of course, we'll do a lot during Saturday academies, but our wonderful advisors will be working with you as individuals as well. So really lean on them to let them know what you need. They can help you, but we have to have that open communication. And parents, we just want you to know that we're here to support you as well. So things that you're interested in or wondering about, what does all this stuff mean? Because it can get very confusing and very overwhelming very easily. You know, even for, you know, when I was planning my daughter's entry into college, you know, I do this stuff all the time. It's still a lot to keep up with and stay on track. So it's very, very important that you do that. So again, just make sure, parents, that you know that we're here to support you as well. Be as involved as you can be, and ask as much questions, and just know that we're here.
Awesome, thank you. I also wanted to mention that Keith and I did not intentionally wear the same shirt today. This was completely coincidental. So if you were like, wow, nerds, we are, but not because of the shirts. So yeah, just kind of a little bit of a preview of some things that we'll need from parents. So obviously students are going to need your tax information this fall so that they can fill out their FAFSA, which is the application to get aid from the federal government. Any parents without a social security number, you can still complete the FAFSA without creating an FSA ID, and we can definitely work with you on that. But you'll need to have your 2020 taxes, and anyways, it seems far in the future, but it's gonna come quickly, that January 15th date. Also, just a heads up from parents, this may be a discussion that you're gonna wanna have with your students over this next year. As we're helping your students make plans financially, some of the questions, would it be possible for your student to live at home during college if that is what would work out and be the best fit for them? Do you anticipate being able to help out with any or pay some of their tuition? Will they be able to stay on your medical insurance? There aren't any right or wrong answers to these questions, but definitely something to talk about just so your student can plan financially for taking on that next step towards independence. This is a little bit of what the college application timeline will look like for seniors. The first thing is to know your deadlines, dates, and plan ahead. So for your applications to colleges and universities, seniors, this is going to be a big thing that we talk about over the summer. The majority of colleges and universities, there will be a deadline for admissions, and there'll also be deadlines for scholarships, and sometimes there are priority deadlines. And then, so being aware of all these different deadlines, but to meet the priority deadline for scholarships, that means you need to apply even earlier for admissions into that university or college. But then there are some institutions like the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith where it's all just one application. And so we will work with you to kind of talk about the institutions you plan to attend and what your specific timeline will be. Again, we want you to apply to at least 4 colleges and universities. Just give yourself some options, maybe some safety kind of situations, some match situations where you're like, yes, this would be a good match for me. And then some that might be a bit of a stretch. I'm always surprised every year there's a student that applies to an institution and I'm like, oh my gosh, that student only got, you know, this much scholarship from that place. I expected them to get so much more. And then there's always a student that gets a full ride and I'm like, I was not expecting that. You know, a lot of these scholarship applications and the people reading them, it gets very subjective. So give yourself lots of options. Applying for federal student aid, that application is the FAFSA, and then applying for those state of Arkansas scholarships. So this is kind of how I think about it in my mind. It helps me. How do you pay for college? Where does the money from college come from? The first place is the federal government, and you apply for money from the federal government with the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. The other place that you can apply for money for college is the state government. And so that's your Arkansas Academic Challenge, that's your Governor's Distinguished, and there's one application for that. It's called the YOU Universal Application. And again, we'll go over all of this with students and we'll work on it during Saturday academies. But the FAFSA is the federal government, then there's the state government, and then every institution that you apply to. So the University of Arkansas, Harvard, Northwest Arkansas Community College, they also pass out scholarships. So they're the scholarships at the colleges or universities themselves. And then there's what I call everywhere else. So that's the Dell Scholarship, the Coca-Cola Scholarship, the Poinsett County Teachers Association Scholarship, which is a scholarship I got back in 2005. So all of these more local scholarships or scholarships that come from companies or things like that. So thinking about those different places that money from college can come from and making sure that you're applying for all of them will be something that will help you with this next year. This is kind of that at a glance. There's the federal aid, the state aid, the institutional scholarships, and then private scholarships. So that's kind of, and then this is kind of the order of importance for applying for them. Those private scholarships, there's an unlimited amount of those. And so being intentional and applying for some, but you're not going to be able to apply for all of them because there are just so many. There are thousands upon thousands, but finding the ones that you might be a really good fit for will definitely help you with that. All right, so how much does college actually cost? So this is again where things become really individual. And a few years ago, I asked some Upward Bound students to send me some of their private information. I have taken their names and any identifying things from this information, but this is kind of just an example of how individual it's going to get as far as how much colleges and universities cost. So one of the federal financial aid pools of money is called the Pell Grant. Many of you may have heard of the Pell Grant. So you apply for the Pell Grant by filling out the free application for federal student aid. And many of our students are eligible for that, and that is over $6,000. So whether or not you are eligible for the Pell Grant might impact what your cost for college is going to be, whether you're living on campus, off campus, or at home, how many institutional scholarships you are eligible for. So I just kind of wanted to go through these quickly to show exactly how individual it does get. So this was a student at Arkansas Tech in the fall of 2018. The student lived on campus, so they lived in a residence hall, and that cost almost $3,000. The student had an unlimited meal plan on campus, so that was about $1,500. They got a parking pass. So this is the free money that that student got. They got the Arkansas Academic Challenge for freshmen. They got the Pell Grant. They also got a leadership scholarship. So looking at Arkansas Tech University, the student paid $5,135. So the student did take out a loan, but then the student also had a balance. And so they were working to pay off that balance throughout the semester. It had to be paid by the end of the semester. This is a student at the University of Arkansas, the fall of 2017. This was a commuter student. So this student lived at home. So this doesn't include housing. The student did not have a meal plan. They didn't eat on campus, so it doesn't include that. It does include a parking pass for the garage, which was over $650. So the student did work on campus. They worked on the bookstore at the bookstore, and so they got the really nice, expensive parking pass so that they could park in the garage by the bookstore. The student got the Arkansas Academic Challenge. They got a Pride in Education scholarship and the Silas Hunt scholarship. And so the student paid $492.91. So the student paid that at the beginning of the semester. Here's a student at the University of Central Arkansas. The cost for living on campus, $7,807.60. So that includes the residence hall and 15 meals per week. This student got a university scholarship, a local scholarship, and the Arkansas Academic Challenge. So this student was not eligible for the Pell Grant. And the student and the parents took out loans to cover the rest of it, which was almost $9,000. Here's another student at the University of Arkansas. This is fall 2018. This is another commuter student. So they don't have housing and they also don't eat on campus, so they don't have a meal plan. This student was eligible for the Pell Grant. They were also eligible for the Arkansas Academic Challenge Scholarship. So these are kind of some normal ones. There's also a federal SEOG grant and the Arkansas Go grant. So that was additional money from the federal and state government. So whenever you're applying for money from the federal and state government, both the Pell Grant and the Arkansas Academic Challenge, whenever you fill out these applications, if you're eligible for those, you're going to get them. There are some additional monies like federal SEOG and the Arkansas Go Grant that they have a certain amount of money. And if you're eligible, but they've already handed out all the money for that, you will not be able to get that. So that's why for Upward Bound, we want you to fill out those federal and state government applications as early as possible, because you may be eligible for some money. And if their funds for that run out, you wouldn't be able to get it. So this student actually got a refund of $729. This student was at Northwest Arkansas Community College in the spring of 2018. So the student lived off campus. Northwest Arkansas Community College does not have any residence halls. And so this includes tuition and fees, but doesn't include any housing costs or meal plan or parking pass. And so this student was able to get the federal Pell Grant and they got an additional scholarship. So the student did not have any balance. So yeah, that's kind of just an example of how individual it will get. We want you to leave your options open. Seniors will be talking to you about different institutions. Don't write an institution off because there's a big price tag on it, because a lot of those institutions that have big price tags pass out big scholarships. But also you can't bank on that. So that, again, we want you to apply to lots of different places. We have a student right now who is graduating from Princeton, and she was able to get a full ride at Princeton. She did not have a full ride at the University of Arkansas. So it just goes to show you that you want to give yourself lots of options. But that it will get very individual depending on your scholarships and your grants and all those different things, and that Upward Bound really looks forward to working with you on an individual basis to talk about your individual situation and how we can help and support you. So, questions? We have Doris here, so preguntas. ¿Tienes preguntas? I need to work on my Espanol.
She's asking if
Oh, so when can you start applying for financial aid? That's a great question. So as far as the FAFSA, so the federal money, that will open on October 1st. And then for the state money, that will generally open January of senior year, so January 2022. For the institutional scholarships, a lot of those open in the fall. I think the University of Arkansas generally opens in September and will be due in November, but every university is slightly different. Excellent question. Any other questions?
Thank you very much, Lacey. And I think that one of the things that kind of becomes clear from what she was talking about is just how individual everything does become. And so I know it can feel a little bit overwhelming. You're looking at all those numbers and cost of college, but again, remember how everything's very individualized. And we want to make sure that we look at everything with you. So we want to look at the institution that you want to apply to, how your academics fit with that, but also, of course, how the cost is going to be, because that may be a big thing. It may be a big thing about where you want to live. Do you want to live close to home initially when you start? Do you maybe want to start at Northwest Arkansas Community College with the idea that you're going to transfer like to the University of Arkansas or another four-year institution after 2 years? So there's so many different variables, but that's what we're here for. So don't, try to take a deep breath. It does seem a little bit overwhelming because it seems like there's lots of decisions, but a lot of those things, again, kind of go with the way that we plan for your senior year. That's why the timeline is so important. We're going to work with you. We want you to apply to more than one institution because we want you to have different options. Just like Lacey said, you're not always sure exactly what's going to be. You might have this particular college, but you might find that you get a full ride or a really good scholarship from this other institution that makes it look a lot more attractive because you think, maybe I can get my bachelor's degree with very little student loan or no student loan. And so things like that make a big difference. And those are the things that we'll talk about beginning this summer when you're here on campus, and continue that through your senior year. And we just, again, want to let you know that we're here with you every step of the way on that. But that's why it becomes so individualized. So again, it can feel like a foreign language, a lot of all that stuff, FAFSA and all the different words and information. So it's okay. It will seem a little bit confusing, but that's what Upward Bound is here for, is to help you, be your support for that, so that we can assist you as needed. So just want to make sure that. So again, yeah, any other questions that you have, and again, you may have some as we get going through everything, but again, just want to do a few reminders. The other thing I did want to say too is we didn't talk much about ACT. You know, most of you have taken the ACT at least once or twice or 3 times or maybe more. As rising seniors or your senior year, we want you to continue to be able to take the ACT. We will continue to pay for that. So if you still are looking to try to get a higher score, maybe so you can have entry into a particular college or institution, or obviously ACT scores can matter when it comes to scholarships. So if you're still looking to get that score, be sure to talk to your advisor. You know, there's a July test. There's actually a June test, but there's also that July 17th test, which would be the Saturday before you all move into the residence hall, which is a good time to take it. You could have even some time to be preparing this summer. And then, of course, in your senior year, fall is the best time to try and get those last ACTs in. So maybe there's a September test, an October test. But by about December, it kind of gets to the end of where you're really going to have an opportunity to get the score that you want before that would qualify for specific scholarships and things like that. So just want to kind of make sure that you know that we're here to support you along those lines. You know, Vicki is our academic coordinator. We'll be talking more about ACT prep. We do a lot with our juniors especially, but seniors, we continue to give you that support as well. I want to make sure that you know that. Trying to think if there's anything else. Like I said, we will be getting in touch with you as we get closer. So you will start again your virtual summer on June 21st, but we'll send out information to kind of tell you when you want to block off some time in your schedule. So again, you'll kind of have a regular time for about 50 minutes during that virtual time. You'll still do some stuff outside of that, but your instructors will meet with you through the Blackboard system, you know, that we've used before, kind of like we did last year. And we'll get that information out, get your schedule to you. But again, remember, participate in that, because you'll have 2 weeks of English and 2 weeks of math before you come to the summer. But we set that up so that you'll be able to do that fairly easily, but it gives you that preview coming into the summer, and then we'll have a very intensive academics when we're here on campus. But again, you want to take full advantage of full summer academy, so that way you can get full stipend. And we're going to have so much fun when you all get here, because I know that Lacey's got some great things planned for you, and we're looking forward to that. If you want to say anything about the residential staff or anything like that before we wrap up and answer any final questions, and just a reminder here, just a second about the forms we wanted to get back. So.
Cool. Yeah, I guess since y'all have been with us previous summers, I can announce our returning residential staff. So Dennis Tolliver will be our residential coordinator again this summer. Again, Dennis has been with us 14, so will this be number 14, I think? He's been with the program since he was a student at the University of Arkansas. Now he has moved to Atlanta and was a teacher, and now he's moved on into the counseling and administrative side at the elementary school. He was voted one of the Atlanta Public Schools Teachers of the Year a few years back. So amazing person to have on staff. And Lillian Williams will be returning as our assistant residential coordinator. So you'll have some familiar faces in the residence hall. We also have some amazing mentors that are going to be joining us this summer. One of them was a former Upward Bound student that we're happy to have on the residential staff. So yeah, see some familiar faces in the hall, and you know, we'll be a smaller group on campus, and so our residential staff will be a bit smaller. And we just think that that's going to really encourage just a very tight-knit community this summer. We're excited.
Okay, well, we're about to wrap things up again. We just want to thank you so much for being here in person. And we just wanted to, you know, we thought about doing this virtually. Said, no, we're going to start just pushing to make sure we get things back to normal as quick as possible. So that's what we're going to kind of keep doing, keep working towards that. So that's why we're so excited to see you all here face to face. And just as you leave today, just remember, again, there are a few things we'd like to get back from you. So you will take, of course, your folder. So your Upward Bound folder, you can keep all the stuff that you don't turn in, take that with you. But in the white envelope, if you will put in there the one thing that we need is that last page on on your summer handbook. There's that last page, that agreement form. Please sign that, students, and put that in there. Also, you want to fill out this out. Now, this one, if you need, if there's some information you can't provide us or need to send it in to us, then pick up a return envelope. You can mail that to us. But if you've got all the information on here, go ahead and turn that one in as well. That's the emergency contact and medical information form. Then also, there's a little green card that has your t-shirt size, if you plan to do a roommate, any dietary restrictions, so please turn that in for us. And so not too many forms. And then if you plan to do or you already know there will be a day that you can be absent or need to be checked out for a short period of time during those 2 weeks that you're on campus, you can fill out this absence request. If you need more of those, there are a few more out here, but of course know that we'll have these available even during the summer program. But like Lacey said, we're going to be just there for 2 weeks, so hopefully we can try to limit the number of times that you'll have to leave. But we do know that one Sunday will be a little bit relaxed, so if you need to check out, you can. But we've also got some fun things planned that day. So I think those are everything as far as paperwork goes.
Somebody's driving.
Oh yeah. The only other thing is if you plan to drive, that's another form that's just out there. It's not in your packet. I know it'll be a little bit different this year, so most people may not drive. It's really you're going to just do a move in and a move out, and you're not going to be going home every weekend. But if you still plan to drive, just make sure that you get that form and that permission form, as well as the information on how to get your parking pass to be able to park on campus. So take everything else with you, including your move-in, mark those dates down. We'll be in touch with you as we get closer, like I said, to give you some more specifics. But your starting time will be June 21st for virtual, move-in on July 18th. July 18th. Okay, any other questions about summer or anything before we wrap up? You have a question?
That's okay.
Okay. Okay, any questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate y'all being here, and we'll let you all again, as you exit, if you'll just place your packets of your forms out there on the table. We'll take those from you. And again, we'll be in touch. Thank you all. Great to see everybody. Yay.
We could pull up the PowerPoint for we have 2 new students in here that were here with siblings. So if we could pull up the paperwork. Oh yeah, stop recording.